and I know this might sound funny, but how did you grow through that? Like, how did you get to a space where you were like, fuck it, like hands
Hmm.
up, like I don't care anymore?
Well, I feel like with the layers of just like intersectionality, like you said, even coming from like, family of immigrants, those are things that you always feel like are extra layered. And every room you go into, you feel like your existence always constantly has to be justified. And when you add being like fat on top of that, it is so exhausting. And I tell people all the time, like, I'm a fat veteran. Like, I've been fat since I was a kid. And I, up into my 20s now, like, I'm just like, I'm over chasing the dream of like not being fat. I've just came into that acceptance because I am accepting and loving of this body that I'm in and what state she feels the best to be in. And I'm just never going to chase thinness the way that I have. But I think in that journey of like spending 20 years with this bigger body, I think around year 10, 15, it was kind of like, wait, you're kind of pretty cool. Like, you're that girl. Like, wait, I can't believe people try to make me dislike you for so long. And I was like trapped with that idea. And I was joking with my followers a few days ago how, like, I hate salads. And I can finally admit that. I feel like the stereotype of, like, oh, of course the fat girl hates salads used to, like, make me feel like I had to force myself to, like, eat salads. And now I feel free because I'm like, I don't like a salad, and that's okay. I don't have
Right.
to be bound by the stereotypes that people have put upon me, and they'll put on you, whether it's racial, whether it is about, your bigger body or your gender identity. And when you're trying to go against those stereotypes so hard, your actually existence is like based on those stereotypes. You're just trying to like fight them so hard, like, oh, I'm actually this enough, that you aren't actually living for you. You're living to combat what those people
Mm.
are saying. So now I feel the freedom of just not feeling like I have to be in the gym. I hate going to the gym too. Like, I love working out in so many other ways, but like I finally got to a place where I'm so comfortable to be like, I hate going to the gym. And somebody could say, of course you do. Like it shows. And I'm like, I don't really care because I know that I find pleasure in moving my body in so many other ways. And now I can stop faking it and stop pretending like I don't, or I did in a different way, just so that way I can appease other people. And I wish I had a better solution other than time for myself. But I also wish I had people like the people here today to, pour into me these ideals, because I actually didn't. That took 15 years because I didn't have anybody like this. I was raised in the era of like the 2000s and pop culture. Everywhere I was feeling less than from every piece of media I consume. But now we have, people like you that put on these conversations to kind of open our eyes a little sooner than 10 to 15 years, because life is way too short to waste that much time on not living your truth.
Wow, and thank you. That was like a really great response. Like,
Thank
it
you.
is something that I wanted to ask because like I'll be 44 this year, and it is a weird journey as I'm like, who am I? What do I want? What do I want to do? Kind of space in life. And to your point, like, I am more than TCF, and I am finding different ways of learning how to weave in the things that excite me. I love to dance. I was a cheerleader. I love to dance. I'm trying to find some dance classes because I tried to pole dancing, but that just was like my body was like, "Nah,
It is
girl."
so hard. It is
It is.
hard.
I would come back with all these bruises on my arms, like, oh my god, and my thighs was on fire. But I tried it. At least I said
Yeah.
I tried it. So, I'm in this self-exploration stage of life, and it's kind of fun because I'm not giving myself boundaries to so that I can be like, "Oh, we're gonna try this." Like, I like werewolf books or books around werewolves and all the like that has become like a guilty pleasure of mine. So it's like allowing myself to delight in different things so that I'm not feeling all the pressure, so I can just have a little bit of that freedom that you just discussed. Nick, my question to you is, what does emotional exhaustion look like for men in the big and tall space, especially when vulnerability isn't culturally encouraged?
Um, that's a great question. Emotional exhaustion could be anything. I think I'm going through that currently right now, um, where, like I was talking about earlier, when you have those conversations or you're going to these model calls or whatever, and you're experiencing that, and I understand. That's one thing I'll say. It's a roundabout way of saying it, but I'm experiencing that now. I've been going to a couple of model calls, and you get told you don't get a response as what you did wrong, that you just don't get picked. And so, because you have good talents, it becomes disheartening. So because of that, when you get exhausted, you have to find other outlets. One of the things I've been doing now is I've been very vocal about my healing journey, and that's become through therapy. So um, I got a new therapist about a month ago, and so we deal with where she's got me doing a lot of the inner work, and part of the inner work is learning to take breaks, like Faith said earlier. Um, so like now it's, you know, on weekends, I'm like, man, I don't have anything to do. What am I gonna do with myself? Man, go enjoy life. Go to a baseball game. Go hang out with your friends. Go to the gym. Different things like that, and find things that make you happy. And then you start realizing that maybe I do need a break, or because I think a lot of times, especially for me, I can say for myself, a lot of times I have been emotionally exhausted because I put too much pressure on myself. Like, I
Mm.
really want to be great. I want to be top five. I want people to know who I am. I want to be the best big and tall model ever. And I'm learning now that that's all validation. We don't need that.
Mm.
You don't need validation from who you have to prove it to. Are
That
you proving it
part.
to yourself? Are you proving it to yourself? Because as long as you prove it to yourself, that's it. One of the things my therapist told me recently is I was telling her that I wanted to take on this moniker of being the big and tall sex symbol. And I was like, but is that wrong for me to say? She was like, no. She was like, do you feel like you're a sex symbol? I said, yeah, man, I'm sexy. I know I am. And she's like, okay, then you can do that. It's main character energy. And I think that helps with that emotional exhaustion. If you realize who you are and know what you're about, and you stop seeking that validation of, I gotta go prove this to these models out here that I can be a big and tall model, or I can do this. Once you start learning who you are, everything else just comes to consider. Now you're not validating yourself through, okay, if I don't make this
Yep.
model call, then I haven't done everything. I haven't done everything I did. Okay, you did make the model call. So what? There's gonna be another one. Oh, well, they didn't pick me because I don't have a six pack body. So what? Okay, cool. You don't have a six pack body, but you know, are you confident? Maybe look at yourself. Are you confident? Yeah, I'm confident in myself. Okay, then. But maybe you didn't display confidence that day. Who knows? But at the end of the day, stop, beating yourself over it, but also stop seeking that validation. And I think once you start learning that, that helps. But also know that there are seasons where you don't need to be doing modeling. It's okay. Because I was in that point like April to December. I've got to do a fashion show. I've got to do some type of runway production every single time. And I just realized I just need to take a break. It's okay. Take a break. It's okay.
It is. And I think one of the things that you mentioned is that validation, that qualifying. And in therapy, one of the things that my therapist was like, I am enough. That's it. Not comma, if I do this, if I do, I am enough, period. And I think, taking a little bit of that main character energy is like really important for you to realize and recognize you are enough without
Yep.
having to explain, justify, and put up. And I think it goes, not I think, it does go against counter to culture. It
Yeah.
literally slaps it in the face. Like, I say being plus size and showing up is just political in and of itself. It's political in and of itself, just showing up. It's like, how dare you put on an animal print wrap dress? How dare you show up and feel fabulous? Like you're already bucking society's expectations. So I think once to your point, Nick, like, yeah, I've gone through that. Like, that's that high achiever kind of, what do you call it? That's a high achiever
Is that called imposter
characteristic.
syndrome?
In some ways, perhaps imposter syndrome, Carmina. I think imposter syndrome is on the other spectrum, I feel, where you don't feel like you're good enough, even though you have all of these qualifications, even though, and I've been there too.
Yeah.
Where and it's actually frozen me, right? It's frozen me from taking certain steps, from, showing up fully. Like, literally, I just got chin checked by spirit and God, because I was like, what am I doing? What's going on? And he was like, you need to show up. So that's why we did this today. Like, I was trying to find excuses because I didn't have the tech set up how I wanted it to. Right. And I was like, oh, I'll just postpone because, and I was like, nope, you'll get it together, Marie. This is the first one. Don't expect perfection right out the gate. Like, give yourself time to grow into it. So I think we have to learn how to be kinder to ourselves.
Yeah.
Because what we're beating ourselves up with is kind of tied into the expectations of other people, of society, where we feel like, oh, I should be here by this time. I should be married. I should have a kid. I should have this success. I should have these things, all because someone has told us this.
Yeah.
And so we end up just living, kind of creating this vicious circle of beating ourselves up and knocking ourselves down. And that's something I just realized last week, what I have been doing to myself. Go ahead.
And to your point, like I had a friend of mine who's in the entertainment industry who told me the story that it takes 7 years for you to really start getting noticed. And like when we started talking about it, I was like, you sure? He's like, yeah, it takes about 5 to 7 years. And if you think about it, once you hit about 5 to 7 years, that's when your name starts, like, you start getting a presence that people know. And so I know for me personally, when I do a lot of things, I would start experiencing success in year 2 or 3. So now I'm thinking, oh, I've made it, I've achieved it. And so then after year 2 or 3, and then it starts to slow down, you start saying, wait a second, like this not, no, this not supposed to happen. Like, I'm supposed to continue to go. But sometimes when you reach a level that you've already reached so early, it's hard for you to just sit back and take a step back and say, okay, you know what? This is some downtime. I'm going to get back up there. So I agree on 1,000%. And I think that's one of the things I'm struggling with now. Like, I started reaching, even in modeling, like, there were things that I tell people that I did I started in 2017. So things I was doing right before the pandemic, people were like, oh my gosh, that was you? And it's like, now I'm not doing as much. And they're like, well, what happened? What are you doing? And it's like, hey, once you start reaching the success, you gotta. It's almost like the universe will balance itself out. You get a lot of success, then you may not. But it's kind of like well, maybe I need to figure something out and then go back at it. So,
and I think it's really important that we learn how to give ourselves grace, because everything is cyclical or a roller coaster. Especially life as an entrepreneur, it's totally a roller coaster. You're gonna have some peaks, you're gonna have some lows, you're gonna have some highs, and it's just gonna keep going. I mean, TCF will turn 17 years in December. 17. When I started, there was no TikTok, there was no Instagram, it was just Facebook, and Facebook wasn't even open to the public.
nope.
It just opened to the public. So we have these different tools that allow for us to grow, and I think, and be connected, but at the same time, it also can impact how you see yourself, because now you're seeing all these things. You're seeing other people's successes and other people's wins, and I think it can mess with your head if you're not focused on the right thing. And I think that's really important to note. But, like, kind of going into the next question, because we're talking about burnout, because I think when we see all these things, it kind of motivates us and we're high achievers. But I'm curious about, how does burnout show up differently depending on whether you're Black, disabled, queer, or chronically online? This question is for anyone.
Oh, I can tell you that now. I think as somebody like me, burnout online, you can easily get it from just what you see on. So, like, sometimes now I've learned I got to take a social media break. Because if you start seeing so much stuff, whether it be good or bad, you can get burnt out. Like you said, to your point, if I start seeing my big and tall model friends and they're doing all this other stuff and I haven't done that in a couple of weeks, then I go and because again, you see it on social media. If we didn't have social media, I probably wouldn't have known about it and been okay. But you start seeing then you're like, well, I wish I could do that, or dang, I wish I could do that, or why I didn't get picked for this. And then now that starts messing with your head. So then you get into that depression or anxiety or thinking you're not good enough. So I honestly
What
think
do
that
they say? Comparison is the thief of joy.
yes, and I think a lot of times, especially in that particular industry, whether you're an entrepreneur, a model, or net, whatever, whether you're black, white, LGBT or whatever, it's that comparison. And I mean, we're naturally going to do it, but I honestly feel like social media is the root cause of that because if you're seeing what everybody's doing, and of course, social media is the greatest advertisement. We know that, that's the way we can advertise what we're doing, but it's a gift and a curse. The gift is people are able to see what you're doing. It's great. Oh man, Nick is doing it. Can you believe he's doing that? Oh man, he's getting this. But then they don't know when Nick is sitting at home 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock at night, and he's scrolling through Instagram or TikTok, and oh, that person just got a brand deal with such and such, and I started out with them. Maybe I ain't good enough, or this person that just got selected to go to New York Fashion Week. I've never been there. Then you start getting the negative thoughts in your head. Shit, man, you ain't never gonna make it there. And then you start going to that rabbit hole of, man, I just need a break. Or maybe I'm not good enough. Or, you know what I'm saying? You talk to somebody and be like, oh, man, you big. Like, you really think big dudes, you think big dudes can do something like that? I mean, it's little stuff. So I don't know. That's
It's
just my 2 cents to that.
it feels like there's like you have to have like a healthy dose of belief in purpose in what you're doing and why you exist and whom you're helping. Um, Faith and Carmina, I'm curious because both of you specifically have nurtured and developed communities respective of your own presence online. How do you navigate or how do you see burnup show up in your spaces and how are people navigating through it?
I think personally, it's like I get burnt out a lot from being tokenized, like one-on-one, I think people or brands or whoever will kind of use me as like a checking off multiple boxes, so whether that be racially or size wise or ethnically, they feel like, oh, okay, one size fits all with her, but then I am one of one. I'm the only person probably that is plus size in the room, or one of the only people that are, that are Latina or that, are multiracial. And it gets really lonely and really isolating. And I think burnout looks different because it's really hard for me to find like people to like kind of lean on when they don't look like you or they don't have the same experiences as you. So I think navigating that is, kind of what you said earlier, just about like finding that community outside of those things. And I know all my friends look like me and they look similar to me. And, whether that be like body, identity, it's really diverse friend group, but we all have those similarities. So I come home to having people that see me and feel me and on other levels, so I curate those spaces for me because I know a lot of the times in these professional spaces, and I'm sure a lot of y'all can attest to this, that we are one of one.
Carmina?
My experience with burnout is...
Oh no, did she freeze? Oh, we lost her. Well, while she comes back, Dr. Rachel, I'm curious about this, like what you have seen and how you have seen burnout show up differently, like through some of your, I guess, patients or clients.
hmm Yeah, I think it really depends on the person and how much support they have in terms of community. And I think people who have done a lot of the work that we've done, not everybody has had the opportunity, to do that kind of work around their identity, to work on fat liberation or body liberation, or, have found the support that maybe we figured out is needed. So I think what I find is that really depending on how much support my clients have, how much community they have, how many people in their lives have told them that they are worthy as they are, and that it's not that they need to do something to prove or earn their worth or value. We don't come into the world thinking that we are not worthy or that we're not valuable, but the world tells us that. And
Mhm.
so to relearn that, yes, we actually are worthy and valuable exactly as we are, is a process. And ideally, we would have people in our lives, whether parents or caregivers or other family members, who are going to reflect that back to us. But we
Mhm.
don't all have that. And so when we don't, we're having to find the places to see that reflection back to us, which I think is why so many of us who do this work end up having a lot of people who are following us on social media, because there aren't a lot of examples of people with
Yeah.
different marginalized identities who are showing up without apology. And so I think that for my clients, it shows up differently, partially based on their various identities, but a lot of it is based on how much community support they have, or how much they have people to reflect to them that they don't need to prove anything, that they are enough as they are right now.
That's real. Welcome back, Carmina. Happy to see you back
My,
there.
my
No, that's
computer
okay.
just turned itself off.
Hey, Mercury is in retrograde, so hey, par for the course.
And it's Leo season, and as a Libra, it's Leo season. Thank you. Sorry about that.
That's
My
all right.
my journey with burnout was inverted a bit because it started out in a positive way. In 2017, 18, 19, I started my modeling career in London and Paris. Then I came back to New York and it was on fire, getting the big contracts, the big Times Square or billboard, all things, running into you, Marie, at Fashion Week and walking for the designers. And then I had press passes at Fashion Week. I work for a magazine. And let me tell you, it's way more fun backstage. It's way more fun. But and then it gets tiring every September, and then every February you got to go to New York, and if you're in Europe, you got to make the triangle between London, Paris, Milan, London, Paris, Milan. And so 2018, 2019, I'm like, Carmina, Nick said kind of, I don't have to do everything. I don't have to go to every fashion week. My career's there. People know me. They know my work. It'll be there when I get back. And I felt like I had really grown, and that was what God had wanted me to learn. That, okay, it's time to stop scrambling, keep reaching for excellence, but don't feel like you have to do every show and every tea and every party, every launch. And I stopped and I'm like, okay, I learned my lesson. And then the pandemic hit. And there was no fashion week. And I was like, oh God, I should have gone to all of those. So I'm not even sure if there is a lesson there, because I do feel like I was meant to say, okay, chill out now. Your career's killing it. But and there were no fashion weeks for all those years. So a lot of models and one-on-one influencers were being asked by companies to do shooting at home. And I personally made the decision not to do that, that I was just not going to really make that much money as a model. And I did still get some jobs, but I have photos taken by Vogue accredited photographers, Velvet Demore, some of the top photographers really in the world. And me shooting at home next to that, I thought would bring my whole level of excellence down. So I kind of waited out the pandemic and did high quality shooting, but basically recycled some old photos. And then once it was all over, and we've basically gone back to traditional modeling and casting, like Nick was saying, go sees, and you have your portfolio and your comp card and all that. People are telling me they're hiring me because I kept my level of excellence the same throughout. I wasn't so like, oh my God, I have to stay in the business, so I'm just going to shoot some shit at home. And as a disabled person, by the time I get dressed, pull outfits, do my hair and makeup, pull out the screen, set up the lighting, I'm already exhausted. Because
Right.
it rules my life. Part of the reason I've been moving around is I'm actually in my grandmother's recliner now. I was adjusting it. Like, fatigue is my life, and people understand that disabled people maybe can't haul around the equipment needed to self-shoot.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm saying that slowly and loudly for those in the back. So there was my own sense of aesthetics that, like, no, these photos I have are fire, and I'm not putting up crap just to get myself through the pandemic. But and like I said, people noticed that and saw the quality in me. But people have no clue how exhausting self-filming is.
And I think it's also keeping being aware of that, right? Like being able to share that and give that information. I think that's something that's not always discussed, shared, and made visible or made aware, right? Like, I think one of the things you mentioned, the pandemic, I think one of the things that the pandemic reverberated everywhere was the art of the pivot. Everyone had to learn how to pivot in one way or another, whether it was, that's when I actually started doing lives. Like, it was literally because I was like, oh my gosh, I need to be connected with people. Like, I needed that connectivity. I needed that community, because otherwise, I already work from home. So I was like, now I'm forced to stay home. Like, I want to get out now. Like, I'm all backwards, right? But I'm curious when it comes to, and this question is for everyone, when it comes to public visibility, whether as a creator, an expert, or model, how does public visibility impact your relationship with emotional resilience or exhaustion? And I'll kick this off. Like, I would not want to show up online. Like, I just would not. I wouldn't do it for someone was talking about how long it takes to get everything ready to take a photo. I would be like, oh no, I don't want to put on makeup, put on my hair, put on some clothes, figure out what I'm going to wear, make sure all of that was just too exhausting. I just wanted to show up and have a conversation. And I started using that as a crutch, as an excuse for me, and now I'm at a space where I'm like, okay, I need to show up for myself, not just for TCF, but I need to show up for myself. And I think sometimes, especially right now, like, I don't know if any of you guys watch Love Island, but like, I've never watched Love Island, but I know everything that's going on about Love Island because of Twitter. I'm sure it's all over every other platform, but I know every drama that's going on right now. Like, and I'm over here clutching pearls, imaginary pearls, like, oh my God, I can't believe he did that. Or, oh my God, like, aren't they so cute? And I'm watching them and I'm like, I could not live my life like that out loud, like that present. And so for me, I'm like, I want to keep some things to myself. Like, I kind of feel myself retreating. How do you navigate being visible, like, public visibility, and how does that deal with your emotional exhaustion or like resilience? If you're talking, Nick, I see your lips moving, but
Sorry.
you're muted.
It's
That's okay.
I think it's a double-edged sword. Like, because like if you're a big and tall model or any type of model or influencer or anything, you're always visible. So because you're always visible, it's almost like you can't have any bad moments. And if you have that bad moment, Now it's like piranhas in the mist. Or did you see that Nick had a bad day today? Or did you see that Nick was crashing out on social media? I knew it. I knew it. I knew it. But no, we're human. We're not gonna be every day is not gonna be roses. There's gonna be days when I wake up and I'm mad at the world and I feel like crashing out. There's gonna be days where I'm excited. And I think it's tough to do that because I know for me, like even now, like dating has been weird for me in that space too because it's like, oh my goodness, did you see that Nick was out with such and such? Well, who is that girl or who is it this? And da, 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 da. And it's like you're always on that pedestal. So it's like when you do have that moment of vulnerability, it's oh my gosh, he had a bad day or he said this, and it's now you're the worst person in the world, but it's like you can't be human. And I think that for me has been the biggest lesson learned of that about just dealing with life and that emotional well-being of being exhausted. It's like on social media or any type of platform, you're not supposed to show that you're exhausted. You're not supposed to show that you're tired because if that one moment you show that you're human, it's like everybody wants to attack it. And it's like, no, give me some grace to crash out for a bit. I'm not gonna be there long, but just give me that little brief moment to just
And
say
I
I'm
think it's
okay.
changing. I
Yeah.
think that expectation is changing. I mean, Faith, if you could, in a high level, I guess high level, can you talk about when you did your shaving, like that extreme vulnerability, kind of where your mind was at when you decided to shave your hair on live social media, like, and how you, what's the word, kind of use that to become your strength?
Yeah, I think it's kind of funny actually how like I shaved my head and I was kind of just like posting the hair growth weekly for my own documentation. Nobody I knew had ever heard of TikTok at the time, so I was like, okay, I could just post these things. And if I knew then what I know now, that like at the end of probably 8 months, I would get around 100 million views on my hair growth journey. I would probably have got a lot cuter. I would have probably, but like everybody found me definitely on my worst. Like, I was living in my cousin's basement and I didn't really have I filmed these videos like with no makeup on, like kind of like how people film like before and after photos. That's exactly what it looked like. I was like a before and after, and it was just like something I had never intended. But I think there's something really beautiful about that the internet and the world and my community kind of met me at my lowest when I was, completely stripped of what a lot of people would tie to like just their femininity and their beauty, especially just like societal standards of what that looks like. I, just really didn't care even like aesthetically how I looked. I didn't care about what I was wearing. And for people to find me in that state and still fall in love with the journey that I was on and being able to like grow with me through all of like the awkward stages of my hair growth. I think it was such a beautiful thing. And now I know that I can show up however on the internet, and I know that people are going to accept me. I mean, that's how they found me. And now like all of this extra stuff and, just me being done up or the fashion of it all, like is a plus, and it's an addition to me, but it isn't just who I am. So I think I definitely used that phase of my life to now be the stronger version of me. Like I feel almost invincible because kind of being on the internet and how cruel people can be. I've heard all of the worst of worst things. It is one thing to also be plus size, but to be plus size and bald, people definitely had their opinions. And I think now, like I said, I'm invincible. Nothing you can say can truly hurt me. And I found beauty in what most people would say looking in the mirror. They would not find that. So
That's beautiful. That's beautiful. Dr. Rachel, I'm curious, when we talk about visibility, like how, even for yourself, like you have your own journey, especially like with, through Peloton, that you're like, really marrying like your work and your journey Like, how has that visibility, like, how's that journey been for you?
I think for me, um, when so as a therapist, I was trained that I'm supposed to be like blank slate, not show up as my whole self. And so I had to do a lot of unlearning from that to be like, that is not the kind of therapist I want to be. And so when I first started putting myself out there on social media and doing a lot of fat activism, pretty early on, somebody made a YouTube video about me and being pretty horrifically fat phobic and saying I should have my license taken away for advocating on behalf of fat people. And for me, that was, it sounds weird to say this, but in some ways, it was really helpful to see like these people are doing the thing that I was taught was going to be the most awful thing that could possibly happen, right? Like I was raised that if you're in a fat body, you should hide and be quiet and not be visible. And I was visible and people were criticizing me for that, and I was still me. Like nothing terrible happened. I still woke up as myself. I still felt the same way about myself. I still had the same community. So it's not to say that it didn't hurt, but it didn't destroy me the way that I was taught that it would. And I think from there, it's helped me to be able to then take those risks and put myself out there. And I think like any fat person who's, in the public eye, you get a lot of fat phobic comments or messages, and I certainly do. And now, when I get really awful fat phobic messages, I always screenshot them and think, okay, when can I use these in content later? Like, how are you going to benefit me with if you're going to be an asshole? I'm going to somehow take that and use it. And I think for me, what it comes down to is I don't want to play small. I don't want to live my life quietly. And that means I'm going to endure some of the fat phobia, but it also means that I get to be myself. And I know that I get to have an impact on other fat people who may be earlier in this journey. And especially right now, with all of the focus on weight loss and the GLP-1s and all of that, fat people need that. They need people who they can trust are not going to go on some weight loss journey or who are not going to apologize for who they are. And that's what helped me to like shift to doing this with Peloton too. It's like, okay, I don't have to just be one thing. Like I can be a therapist and I can also do other things, and people can meet me where I'm at, and people don't have to follow you. If
That
somebody
part.
doesn't like your content, I am great at blocking people if they are showing up in ways that are not helpful, and they are welcome to unfollow me if my content doesn't work for them. But it's not about me. That doesn't mean that there's something wrong with me. It's that, they've got their own stuff and I'm just not the right person for them to learn from. And that's fine.
Got you. And while I have you, I'm going to switch to the next question of like, what does true rest look like for you? And how do you protect that in a culture that glorifies hustle culture and overwork? And Faith, are we coming back to you? Because I know that you were like, rest is everything at the beginning of our webinar. So we're going to come to you next, just to let you know. But go ahead, Dr. Rachel.
Yeah, Faith, I loved what you had said earlier about rest is resistance. And I think for me, at least, we can be physically resting, but if our brains are going, it doesn't really offer the rest that I think most of us need. And so that's, I think, one of the challenges for a lot of people. So for me, rest can be like taking a nap, but it's also like this time of year, I love to go to the pool. So rest can be just like chilling in the pool on a pool noodle, watching people jump off the diving board and not thinking about all the shit that's happening in the world. Or I have two kids. It can be, playing with them, and even something that may be a higher energy game that we don't think of as rest can still feel restful because it's a way to like disengage from the constant stress. So
Hmm.
I think for me, that's, being tuned in to what does my body need in any given moment and what is going to feel the most restful, and making sure that I create time for that.
Awesome. Miss Faith.
Yes, I think that although this word has like a very negative connotation these days, I give myself the room to rot, the room to like, I am not putting anything on today. I'm not gonna show up like as the cutest version of myself. I'm not doing my hair. Like it's gonna stay in the bonnet, and like allowing myself to just binge watch stuff with my family. We have like family movie nights, or with my boyfriend, just watching older movies, finding a show. I love trash reality TV. It's one of my favorite forms of like escapism. I know I don't have that much drama in my life, so I love to like watch others. But yeah, and giving myself the room to rot. Like I think every now and again, that's okay. Like if it's a way for you to just allow your body to reset, and like, eating some of my favorite foods, giving yourself the permission to do that, and not looking at it as like a cheat day or whatever. It's just a day, and you're not worrying about the macros of it all. And I think those are the type of moments that I pride myself on weekly. And nobody can make me feel bad about it, because I know that I work so hard throughout the week. I deserve to rot. I deserve to just be in my most comfortable place and not think too much about everything from what I'm consuming, and what I'm actually physically consuming, and giving myself the freedom to do that.
That's beautiful. And I think what's also important is like, as someone who has been used to go, 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 and when I used to always feel lazy or I would judge myself when I would try to get some rest, or I would try to feel like I needed to justify my reasoning for needing some rest. And I think it took a lot of work to unlearn that. But one of the things and tools that really helped me was human design. And I learned through my human design, like I am a projector and I'm like a technical non-energy source. And like, so I absorb energies from other people. So I also need to, kind of purge that from myself as a projector. And I think for me, like learning these different, how do you call it? I don't know if I use the word new age, but as I've learned these different tools of learning myself and learning what works for me, it actually allows for me to get through my day well rested, but also not overworked, right? So I usually end my workday between 1 and 2 o'clock, sometimes three, but I won't do a traditional 9 to 5 in front of my computer. Like I give myself those moments, and I don't work weekends. Like I used to go literally Sunday to Sunday,
Yep.
any time off. My health depleted, my mental health depleted.
Yeah.
I was immediately exhausted, and then I became resentful of like everything. And that's not healthy. That's not healthy to kind of navigate through these spaces. Like how can I show up for my community if I'm not even showing up for myself? Right? And so when we talk about rest and we talk about navigating through these things, Carmina and Nick, I'm curious, like, how are you learning how to rest? How are you perceiving rest? And how did you learn that it's okay to rest? Or if you're still learning, because that's a real a piece of the journey too.
Yeah. There are folks in all fields, but I'm thinking specifically of some of the top fashion professionals that maybe you and I know in common, Marie, and they say things like the grind never stops. It's 24/7. I'm grinding all the time. I work on Sundays. And I think, did you skip that class in school where they taught you about the law of diminishing returns? Like, if you overwork yourself, your work will start to get worse. Your body will be depleted. Your spirit, your spirituality, your anything that is the juice that makes you will get depleted. So when you hit that law of diminishing returns, and everyone knows what that is for them, like Marie, you've figured out this workaround too. As someone with chronic fatigue, I have to rest. I literally have to take a nap every day. It's having my rest is like taking away my medicine or food or water. Like I literally need an afternoon nap to kind of break the day in half so I can manage the second half. But I have my father who recently passed. Was really an international world-class self-made businessman, and he napped every single day. He always had a couch in his office and he napped, and the secretary knew, like, for these 45 minutes, Dr. X is unavailable. And so I was actually raised in a family where rest was prioritized and not demonized. So I've been lucky with that. But because I'm a freelancer, I think about rest differently because I have to think in man hours. Every hour, in theory, I could be getting paid to do something else. So
Right.
that's another reason I prioritize rest, because if I skip one nap a week, it's fine. But if someone keeps trying to book me 3 days in a row at 4, I literally cannot physically show up.
Mm.
And so
And what
those people who grind, I'm thinking, oh, you either are going to need therapy or you're going to have a stroke at 50. Like, that is not healthy.
one of the things that I had experienced when I first moved back to Southern California, I was so used to go, 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 go. Like my blood pressure was like at 170 over, like it was something like another, I think, like 100. But I was in my relaxation mode, and I had been so go, 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 go that like body kind of weirdly adjusted. Now that I've learned how to prioritize myself, I've totally gotten it all the way down. But it was like, um, it was a, what do you call it? What's the word I'm looking for? It was a smack in the face, a slap in the face for me to like realize like I need to learn how to rest.
You think that had to do with living in New York versus living in
Oh,
Southern
I didn't live
Cali?
in New York.
Oh, okay. My bad. Because I do have that New Yorker, like, hit it, let's go fast, boom, 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 move, let's go. And when I work in Southern California, I'm kind of like, can we get this going? So some of it is cultural. It's where you're from.
No worries. Well,
Yeah.
I did want to ask one more question before we get ready to wrap up. If someone was watching today and they feel like they're barely holding it together, what is one message or reminder you'd want to offer them?
Ooh.
Jump in, everyone jump in, someone jump in.
I hate toxic positivity, so it's so hard to come up with one.
I would probably say that you're enough. And give yourself grace. I think it's kind of we've all talked about that, and I think um, that's the biggest thing. If you give yourself grace and understand yourself and realize that it's okay to take a step back, or it's okay to go slow, it's okay to rest. Just give yourself some grace. It's gonna be there. It's gonna pick back up. So that would be mine. Just give yourself some grace.
Yeah, I was gonna say before I have to go that my favorite is "The rain does not last forever." That is something that is a sentiment I hold near and dear, because I too don't like too much toxic positivity. But on the rainiest, darkest days, I know that there's gonna come the sun again. So if you just hold on long enough for that, you will see it. But thank you guys for today.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Faith and Nick. Rachel, Dr. Rachel.
I think what I would say is first that the problem isn't you. That the problem is in the culture and the systems and the things that are external, that you're not the one who's the problem and that you're not alone. And I don't mean that in sort of the cliche, like, oh, you're not alone in
You're
this.
not alone.
But that, like, right now, everybody is struggling. I don't know anybody who isn't struggling in some way right now if they're at all clued in to what's going on in the world. So if you're in a place where you're feeling either hopeless or just burnt out, like having just to normalize that a little bit right now so that people don't feel like there's something weird or wrong about them.
Right, right. Um, and then, so for one of the things that I definitely would say, and kind of wrapping this up, is like echoing Dr. Rachel's point, like we all are navigating through our own mess, right? Like, and I would also say that it's okay to not be okay. Like that was said to me, I think 2016, and I have never forgotten that. In days where I'm having a shitty day, I'm like, you know what, Marie, it is okay to not be okay today. Like,
Yeah.
and give myself that space to kind of, feel rather than suppress, right? To acknowledge myself and recognize myself in that. Because I think at times we can get, as you guys have all mentioned, we can beat ourselves up because we hold ourselves to certain standards or expectations that society has put on us. And so I think it's really important to know and remember that it is okay to not be okay. And there are resources and tools. And Dr. Rachel, like, I would behoove like not to if you could share information about your services that you focus on and that you deal with, if you could share that with the audience, please.
Sure. I have a private practice. We're located in Philadelphia, but can see clients in a number of different states virtually. And my website is just rachelmilnertherapy.com. And I'm also happy to connect people with resources. So if somebody needs a referral or anything like that, they're welcome to reach out and I can connect them with some resources.
Thank you so much. And again, thank you, Carmina and Nick, for joining us today. Did you guys have anything else that you wanted to add before we wrap up?
I would say bodies are always changing. And so your relationship with your body and your body love will change too. And you have to give grace for that as well.
That's so
And
real.
other people as well. If they've lost a lot of weight or gained a lot of weight, there's probably a medical or a personal, emotional problem going on. Give them grace. Their bodies change, things change as we age. I'm 5 years older than you, Marie, so I'm starting to go through the things that happen to women as they get near 50, and just Maddie Jones talked about this because she also has MS. I spent 20 years learning to love the outside of my body. And now that the inside is messed up, I have to restart that body love journey, love the inside, which is diseased and fucked up. And so it's not a straight line, but as long as your trajectory is moving along and going up, you'll get there. Just every day's a different day, and give yourself that grace.
Thank you. And Nick, did you have anything to add?
No, I just thank you for allowing me to be on here and speak from the heart, from what I felt like needed to be said. I've learned some stuff here from you all, so that I can take with me moving forward. So it's grateful that we were able to have this conversation today.
Great panel.
Well, thank you. And can we just take a breath together after that conversation? Because this is exactly why I wanted to start TCF Talks, to make space for these real necessary and sometimes heavy, but always powerful conversations that our community deserves. A huge, 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 huge thank you to our incredible guests, Dr. Rachel Milner, Nick, Carmina, and Faith, for sharing your truths, your stories, and the kind of wisdom that leaves us all walking away a little lighter, a little braver, and hopefully a little less alone in this plus size experience. Now, before you head out, let me just let you know, next month's conversation, next month's TCF topic is fashion really inclusive or just fat phobic with better PR?
Oh,
It's gonna get a
Ooh,
little
wow.
spicy,
yeah.
and we're going there. So we'll be
Art.
pulling. Yeah, we're having fun. So we're going to be pulling back the curtain on so-called progress in the fashion industry. We're going to be asking real questions about size inclusion, tokenism, and whether these brands are doing the work or just doing it for the press release. Trust me, you don't want to miss that one. And hey, if you love this conversation, make sure you stay connected with us. You can follow us on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube at the Curvy Fashionista. You can sign up for our newsletter. And just so you know, tomorrow we will actually drop a recap of this talk where we'll have the links, we'll have some of the different resources, and we'll have all the other information so you guys won't miss another call or another talk. So thank you so much for joining us, and we will catch you next month. Bye, y'all.